Hey friends, it's Brad here. I thought I'd jump on today. It's been about a year since my memoir was published, Into the Soul of the World, My Journey to Healing. And I wanted to, just do a little birthday celebration. And if you haven't heard about the book, I thought I'd just kind of tell you a bit about it. The book is the story of my becoming an adventure writer and how I became very successful at that. I'm starting out at Outside Magazine back in the early 90s as an editor, and eventually I became a world traveling adventure writer. Um, Eventually, that life and that lifestyle began to take a toll on me. I was suffering from depression and what I later learned would be PTSD, and I was heavily medicated over time. Eventually, I stopped traveling, I stopped writing, and I pretty much went to bed for years. And it was a painful part of my life. And after the suicide of a dear friend, I realized I had to pull my life back together. This is back around 2011 and 12. And I knew that I had to get off the medications, or most of them, and I had to start traveling again. I really had nowhere else to turn. And so I hit the road and I went to Israel and I walked the Jesus Trail. And I was trying to understand if I could be a Christian again. Um, I felt a deep sense inside that I was a person of faith, and yet I was without a path. Um, Having been a Christian as a kid, I'd rejected that path. And so as I was wandering around Israel and later Palestine, walking in Jesus' footsteps, I contemplated and felt into where my spiritual path lay. And I was also, heavily medicated and trying to get off these medications. And it was a very difficult, important time in my life. Eventually, after spending about 10 weeks in Israel and Palestine, I came home and back to New Mexico where I was living. And, eventually I realized that Christianity wasn't the path I needed to be on, at least not then. And I began practicing yoga and really diving into the ancient texts and stories and practices of what's sort of in the West is called mind yoga. It's not really the physical yoga you find, at studios around your town. I was going deep and trying to, excavate what I now understand. I was trying to excavate my very soul, and that path deepened for me, and it led me to travel again. This time to India, where I'd been as a young journalist in the 1990s. Eventually, I traveled to the Kumaon Hills in northern India and found myself at the ashram where Ram Dass and Krishna Das and other Americans had found themselves in the early 1970s and late 1960s. And I ended up hiking up a mountain and encountering a 100-year-old yogi in a cave. And I'll just kind of leave it here that I had a profound experience with this 100-year-old yogi in a cave. And after that day, he said, "Come back." And I came back again and I sat for another afternoon with him. And he taught me and he did other things that I think I'll let pass for now because I don't want to spoil the book. But that time with the yogi in the cave, it changed my life and in the days following that. And frankly, I'm still trying to make sense of that time, that experience in the cave, and also just that time in my life, which was, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago now. And so, circling back, today I'm here in Colorado where I live, and I'm beginning a next project, and it's going to be the sequel to Into the Soul of the World. And I'll be jumping on here in coming days to talk about it, to talk about my reporting and writing process. And I'll be jumping on also to continue with my teaching videos about memoir writing and storytelling. So I hope you'll stick around. And I hope you're hanging in there during these crazy times. And please reach out in the comments section and hit like and And I would appreciate that as I will come back and we'll talk more.